Let's talk about Prime Minister Modi's visit to Israel, marking the completion of a decade-long vision for the most ambitious economic venture on the globe today. So, what's the story behind the strategic alliance between Israel and India, and why is it such a big deal on a global scale? First of all, the mere fact that India, the world's most populous country with nearly 1.5 billion residents, views Israel, a nation of barely 10 million, as a key ally is remarkable. For the Indians, who face an ongoing violent military conflict with Pakistan and constant tension with China, Israel is first and foremost a vital supplier of advanced weaponry and military technology. Israel sells to India and co-develops with it advanced air defense systems such as the Barak 8, innovative anti-tank missiles like the Spike, and many other technologies that can't be fully detailed. Furthermore, India, through the Adani Group, is the commercial owner of 70% of the Haifa port. Using this port already reduces to some extent their dependence on exporting goods through the Suez Canal, avoiding the associated costs and time the Egyptians charge between tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars for every ship passing through. In the future, the Haifa port is expected to reduce this dependence even further if and when the Abraham Accords expand, more on that in a moment. Additionally, the Haifa port is intended to eventually bypass the need for Indians to sail through Bab el-Mandeb Straits, which is constantly threatened by the Houthis. This brings us to the global aspect of the relationship. India and Israel are central members of the IMEC, the India Middle East European Economic Corridor, a plan promoted by the U.S. administration. This is a vision to create a sea-land corridor for transporting goods from India and East Asian countries to Europe and the US. This vision, which serves as a counterweight to China's Belt and Road Initiative, is expected to reduce shipping times by dozens of percent, create an energy connection between Europe and the Middle East, and significantly lower the cost of living in Western countries. For this to become a reality, normalization with Saudi Arabia is required. This would allow for a land connection via railway and highway between the Persian Gulf ports and the Eastern Mediterranean ports, including Haifa, Ashdod, and perhaps even a port in a new Gaza. The IMEC vision is closely linked to the quadrilateral strategic economic partnership known as I2U2, which includes Israel, India, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States. In this partnership, designed to develop massive projects in energy, water, and food security, each country brings its unique contribution. Israel, technological innovation and strategic location. India, industrial manufacturing capacity. The UAE, financial backing and capital. And the USA, the strategic umbrella for the entire venture. Trump, Netanyahu, and Modi dreamed of and realized the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, IMEC, over the past 10 years. The Middle East has undergone a fascinating geopolitical transformation. What began as a quiet security relationship between Jerusalem and New Delhi has evolved under the leadership of Netanyahu and Modi, and the auspices of the Trump and Biden administrations. And I don't like Biden, so if I'm saying it, it must be true. Into the most ambitious infrastructure project of the 21st century. Let's see a timeline of some of the milestones. In 2014, coming out. With Narendra Modi's rise to power, a dramatic shift occurred. in their first meeting on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York in September 2014, Netanyahu and Modi signaled the start of an open romance. India stopped being closeted about its ties with Israel. In 2017, the historic visit, Modi became the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel. The famous photo of the two at the beach, barefoot in the water, wasn't just PR. It signaled Israel's transformation into a strategic, technological, and security partner. In 2018, Netanyahu visited India and presented the Tracks for Regional Peace vision. That same year, the first talks began regarding the rail connection from the Gulf to Haifa. In 2020, Trump's Big Bang, the Abraham Accords. This is where Donald Trump entered the picture. Without the Abraham Accords brokered by the Trump administration, the IMEC corridor would have remained a pipe dream. Normalization with the UAE and Bahrain created the land bridge, allowing Indian goods to pass through the Gulf and Jordan directly to Israeli ports. 2023, official announcement at the G20. At the G20 summit in Delhi, the establishment of the IMEC corridor was officially announced. Israel, though not physically present at the table due to sensitivities regarding Saudi Arabia at the time, was defined as the central access for passage to Europe. 2024 through 2026, the implementation phase. Despite the war, India continued to invest in Israel. India's Adani Group completed the acquisition of the Haifa port, turning it into the bridgehead of the corridor in the Mediterranean. While Trump was the architect of the diplomatic infrastructure, the Biden administration was the one to officially sign the IMEC Memorandum of Understanding in 2023. This represents a paradigm shift, proven that regional economic interests can be advanced before and independently of a solution to the Palestinian issue. Within the global context, Trump identified the need for an alternative to China's Silk Road as early as 2016. IMEC is the Western Indian response to the growing Chinese influence. The trilateral alliance created by the I2U2, the economic NATO, served as the conceptual laboratory for this corridor. In conclusion, the corridor from India through Israel to Europe is not just a pipe or rail line. It is an access that bypasses Russia and China, transforming Israel from an isolated island into a global relay station. Today, with Modi's visit to Israel and the new trade agreements between India and Europe, it appears that the corridor is facts on the ground, and Haifa, and likely the shores of Gaza, is the new gateway from east to west. The relationship between India and Israel, heavily influenced by the close personal bond between Prime Ministers Modi and Netanyahu, is a central piece of the new global power structure emerging between the US-led bloc and the China-led bloc. The fact that Israel is playing on the same field as powers of this magnitude is almost inconceivable. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. And remember, we already talked about this a year ago, before everyone else. God bless you all. Shalom.